Okay, dear students, in last session we have seen how to interface stepper motor with the AVR microcontroller, and then how to write programs in C language as well as in assembly language to rotate the motor in a full step mode. So in today's session we will discuss about the half step programming, and then after we will switch to the DC motor interfacing part. Let me quickly show you how we have done the interfacing of stepper motor with microcontroller. Last time we have also discussed the different applications of stepper motors, then construction and winding details. Along with we have seen the different configuration. We can use motor in a unipolar mode or bipolar mode. So let me start this whiteboard so that I can show you the diagram, and then after we will write programs for a half step mode. And I am sure that you must have solved the exercise which was given during the last session. And whatever the exercise being given during the live sessions, you should do it, and you should write it into the Microsoft Team using the notebook allocated to you. Okay, before this whiteboard begins, let me explain this program for a full step mode. This is the program which is useful to drive the motor in a full step mode. As we have seen last time that in order to drive the motor in a full step mode, we have to send the 4 sequences, that is 1, 2, 4 and 8. But if you want to drive the motor in a half step mode, you have to send the total 8 sequences, that is a 1, 3, 2, 6, 4, C, 8, 9 and at last this is 0 is just indicate that your array is stopped here. Actually you have not to send this 0 sequence to the stepper motor. Okay, so only this 8 sequence you have to send initially. Let me explain here the construction details of stepper motor. As all of you know that in a unipolar mode we have a windings details like this, and the center tap is taken out, and it is connected to plus VCC. And 2 more windings. So this is how we require to interface these 4 windings with the microcontroller with help of a driver circuits. We have seen one typical driver circuit like this with help of a transistor. You can connect the winding stepper motor winding with this. Because the microcontroller port pin doesn't have that much current capacity, it cannot drive the stepper motor windings directly. So you need some transistor amplifier in between. So in this case, let's say that PC0 pin of microcontroller is driving the stepper motor winding. We will also need a protection diode here. Why this protection diode is required? Because we are continuously switching the transistor. Basically we are sending 0 and 1. So whenever we are sending 0 signal, no current is flowing through the transistor. When no current is flowing through the transistor, there is no current flowing from the stepper motor winding. As soon as when we give the level 1, the transistor will switch on, the current will flow through the coil of the stepper motor. And then after, as and when we remove the high voltage at the base and we make it 0, suddenly your transistor will become off. When suddenly transistor will become off, the current will stop suddenly in the winding. So this will result into very large EMF across the winding. As per the equation, all of you know that. That's equation is E is equal to L di by dt. Di is change in current, and how fast you are changing the current depending on that EMF will produce. And as you know that we are stopping it immediately here, because we are stopping it immediately, this dt is very slow, and because of that the very large EMF produced across the coil, which can be more than breakdown voltage of the transistor, and it can damage the transistor. So protect that, we are using here protection diode. It's also known as a freewheeling diode. So this is required at every driver circuitry. So this part we have already seen during the last session. If you remember, I have shown you the circuitry like this. And this was the circuit diagram, in which if the current requirement is more, we are using here a Darlington pair transistor. What is the importance of Darlington pair? That must be very much clear to you, that suppose if you require a higher current gain, then Darlington pair will be very, very useful. So that's actually basic purpose of Darlington pair transistor, right? So here this is a Darlington pair transistor for a one winding, and this is a protection diode. Okay. Similarly, this is Darlington pair for other winding. This is a for third winding, and this is for fourth winding. And here we are using this motor as a unipolar mode, right? And these four diodes are for a protection purpose. So it will protect your transistor circuitry against the large EMF produced because of the switching of the transistors. And this was the interfacing diagram. If you don't want to use the discrete transistors, then you can use the chip like ULN2803, which is already having a Darlington pair transistor inside it, which you can also use. This is the bit sequence for a full step mode. As you can see here that in this case what we are doing, basically I will show you again in a whiteboard, that in this case initially you are activating this winding, the first winding, right? So the current is flowing through this, so we are sending the sequence like 0001. Okay, after that we transfer the current through this winding, so next transistor we will activate. So our sequence would become 00010. So here now this will become 0 and this will become 1. After that we will activate this winding. So for that actually our sequence will be 0100. Okay. And then after at last the last winding we will activate. So in that case the current passes will be through the fourth winding. So this fourth winding would be 1 and remaining 3 will be 000, like this. So essentially we start with this winding, and then after this winding, then this, and then this. So and then the sequence will be repeated again. So in this ways your motor will rotate in a clockwise direction. If you want to rotate in anti-clockwise direction, the sequence will be reverse. So initially current will pass through this winding, then this winding, and then this, and then this. So your sequence will be reverse in case of anti-clockwise case. So in that case it will be 100, 0100, 0010, and 0001. That will be the sequence of current flowing. Now this is a case of a full step, right? Full step mode. In a half step mode, what will happen? The number of steps required to complete one revolution would be 400 steps, because at every step the motor will rotate 0.9 degree per step, right? So total number of steps required would be, all of you know that the 360 degree will give you one revolution, so divided by 0.9, so you require to give the 400 steps, right? So in that case, what will be the sequence? So initially you will pass the current through this winding, so this winding will become 1, then you will pass current through both the windings, so the sequence 1 1 you will give, right? So what will be there? Initially 0 0 0 1, then 0 0 1 1, because both the winding the current will pass, then only this winding, right? So the sequence would be 0 0 1 0. Then after this, both winding, bottom winding and this right winding, so our current will become 0 1 1 0. That will be our binary sequence we will be transferring to the stepper motor. Then after only bottom winding, right? So only bottom winding, so 0 1 0 0. Then after this bottom winding as well as left winding, so in that case it will be 1 1 0 0. And then after only this left winding, right, the current will be removed from the bottom winding, so the next sequence would be 1 0 0 0, right? And then after left winding as well as the top winding, both will become, in both the windings the current will pass, so in that case our sequence would become 1 0 0 1. And then after all this sequence will be repeated again. So these 8 bit patterns you have to transfer. So this is nothing but a 0 1, this is a 0 3 hexadecimal, this is 0 2, this is 0 6 and 0 4, this would be C0, this would be 8 0, and sorry, not C0, it will be 0C, because we are considering only 4 bits, so 0 8 and 0 9. So this is what sequence we are writing in our program. As you can see, in a C program the same sequence is written here: 0 1, then 3 2 6 4 C 8 9 and 0. And we are storing this entire sequence into the array. So the name of array given is a step data array. Unsigned integer I equal to 0, so because we would like to access the elements later from this array, so I equal to 0. DCRC equal to 0x0f, because we will be using port C to drive the motor, so PC0 to PC3 are initialized as an output pins. And inside the while one loop, port C is equal to step data into bracket I. The meaning is that whenever the I is equal to 0, what will happen? It will access the data, step data into bracket 0. So that means it will access the first code, right? And it will transfer to the port C. So that port C, a corresponding winding, upper winding will be activated. Then after a delay, so this delay depends on the speed requirement of the motor. If you want to increase the speed, then you have to reduce the delay, and if you want to reduce the speed, then you have to increase the delay. Then I plus plus, that means I will now become 1. So when it will become 1, what it will do, it will access the second data, step data 1. So it will access the second data, that is 0x03. It will be assigned to the port C. So like this, one by one we are making I plus plus, that means one by one we are picking up this sequence from the array and then we are sending it to the port C. Once we reach to the end, that means whenever the data is now 0, we would like to begin from the first. So in that case, if step data I is equal to 0, then I equal to 0. So that means we are starting our indexing from the first, right? So that data again will be repeated from 0x01 and then so on, right? So like this, let's build this program and run this program in a Proteus software. So after building this program, hex file will be generated, and this is the Proteus schematic in which The stepper motor is interfaced with the help of a ULN2803, which is having a 8 Darlington transistor pairs. PC0, PC1, PC2, PC3 are driving the motor. Let us specify the X file here. This is a half step, so let me select the hex file corresponding to the half step. Now let us simulate this program, debug, and then run simulation. As you can see here that different sequences are available here, and similarly the motor will rotate accordingly. So here whatever the sequence we have sent, the first winding, then both winding, then second winding, then second and third, then third winding, then third and fourth, and then only fourth winding. So this entire sequence will pass through the port C, and from port C to the driver, and driver to the stepper motor, and the stepper motor will run in a full step, in a half step mode, right? In a full, or the difference between the full step and half step is that in a full step mode, the motor will rotate 1.8 degree per step, right? So accuracy will be less. In a half step, it will be 0.9 degree per step, so accuracy will be more. So that is only advantage of half step mode. So as I told you that this is the sequence for a full step mode, in which the motor will rotate 1.8 degree per step, and this was the program which we have already discussed. In this case we don't require to use any array, because simply we are shifting bit 1 to the left side for a clockwise direction and to the right side for anti-clockwise direction. So in a half step mode, as I told you that we require to pass the total 8 sequences, is shown here in this diagram. And the rotation you require is the 0.9 degree per step. That will be the rotation. So total 400 steps will be there. Initially only the first winding will be activated, then first 2 winding will be activated, only second winding will be activated, then second and third will be activated, only third will be activated, then third and fourth will be activated, then only fourth will be activated, then fourth and first will be activated. So this is the sequence you have to send. And this sequence is not, you cannot achieve this sequence simply by shift left or shift right operations. So because of that, you have to store this entire data into some array. If you are doing a C language programming, then you have to use array. And if you are doing assembly language programming, then you have to use the lookup table method, LUT. So this is the same program which we have seen in a simulation. As you can see, this is the entire sequence which is already placed in the array, and then we are sending this sequence to the port C. And at every time we say I++, so whenever I equal to 0, we are transferring 0x01. Whenever I equal to 1, we are transferring 0x03. Whenever I equal to 2, we transfer 0x02, and so on. Right? So one by one, this sequence we are transferring to the port C. So this is the exercise for you. Maybe that I will conduct one live session, and in which I will ask one of you to explain the exercise, right? So you have to modify this program to rotate the motor in a anti-clockwise direction. I will give you a hint how to modify this program. See, in order to drive the motor anti-clockwise, you have to start the sequence from you have to start the sequence from reverse. That means you have to start from 9, then 8, then C, then 4, then 6, then 2, then 3, and then 1. So that means exactly you have to start from reverse like this, right? So if you want to drive the motor in anti-clockwise direction, you have to start from 9, then 8, C0, and so on, like this, okay? In a reverse way you have to start. So what you have to do, simply you have to either, one way is that you can change this lookup table, or you can start here, here we have started I equal to 0. You can also start with I equal to 8, and then you can say here I minus minus. That is one simple way of modifying this program. So this is the exercise for you. Please modify this program to rotate the motor in anti-clockwise direction. Then one more exercise that I am going to show you now is that you have to modify this program in such a way that the motor should rotate clockwise normally, right, and anti-clockwise whenever the interrupt will occur, right? So now we have two interrupt pins, interrupt 0 and interrupt 1, right? So you can configure interrupt 0 for clockwise, interrupt 1 for anti-clockwise, or vice versa, whatever you want to do. But ultimately, whenever one interrupt comes, the motor should rotate clockwise. When another interrupt comes, motor should rotate the anti-clockwise. I will show you that program here and also simulate it here. Okay, so this is the program for that. Again, we will be using port C, PC0 to PC3 to drive the stepper motor, and we have a two interrupts, and all of you know that PD2 and PD3 pins are for the interrupts. So we will be activating the internal pull-up registers for that pins, so that we don't require to connect the external pull-up registers. As you can see in this diagram, that we are using here two switches, right? And this switch is for interrupt 0. So whenever we press this, the motor should rotate to the clockwise direction. And another switch which is connected to PD3, which is for interrupt 1. So whenever a user press this switch, the motor should rotate in a anti-clockwise direction. Sorry. So so in this case, these two pins are for that purpose. MCU CR0x02, that means it will allow you the negative edge triggering, so that whenever you are pressing the switch, basically this pin will go from high to low, so that is basically negative edge. So as and when we press the switch, the interrupt will be generated, and that interrupt will be a negative edge triggered interrupt. Okay. So for that purpose, MCU CR is equal to 0x02. So this is a special function register in which we can configure it different types of interrupts, like whether it is a level triggered interrupts, or a positive edge triggered interrupts, or a negative edge triggered interrupts. Okay. This instruction, in which all of you are very much familiar, that GICR is equal to 0xE0, that means we are enabling all three interrupts. Enable all three external interrupts, even though we are using only two out of it, okay, in this program. SEI is useful to set the interrupt flags in a status register. During the discussion of external interrupt programming, we have already seen in more detail. Okay, so and then after while one loop, so the now microcontroller is just waiting into the infinite loop and then waiting for the interrupts. So as and when external interrupt 0 comes, the first interrupt service routine will be called. This routine will be called, and I will say you later on why I have written this SEI here, but this is the main program actually, right? Port C equal to step data, delay of 200 millisecond, then we just shift left the sequence and send it back to the port C. If the sequence is 0x10, then again we will reinitialize it to 0x01. So whenever interrupt 0 generated, this program will execute it, right? But whenever we are in this loop, in external interrupt 0 loop, it will not allow any other interrupt to occur until and unless we enable the interrupt flag in a same loop. So because of that, actually we are doing here ACI. So, right, because we want to allow, right, we want to allow interrupt 0 here, right? So it will allow external interrupt 1 while we are inside this interrupt service routine, right? So that's why this is required. If you do not do this, what will happen? Your microcontroller will be continuously in this interrupt service routine, because it is a while one loop, otherwise it is infinite loop. It will never come out from that loop, and when it will never come out from the loop, it will not accept the interrupt 1. So your motor will never rotate to the anti-clockwise direction. It will continue to rotate in a clockwise direction. So that's why it is very important, right? So now, as and when the user presses the second switch, the interrupt 1 will be generated. Before going into interrupt 1 routine, again we enable the interrupt flag, and then we send the sequence. But now the sequence is reverse. You can see initially in a first program we transferred 01, now we are transferring 08, and then after we are shifting right instead of left. You can see, because we are programming is moving in an anti-clockwise direction, so it is a shift right, right? And then as and when your data becomes 0, we again reinitialize to 08, right? So this is for anti-clockwise, right? So again, whenever user presses interrupt 0, we will go to this interrupt 0 routine. Whenever user presses interrupt 1, we will go to the interrupt 1 routine. So your motor will rotate either clockwise direction or anti-clockwise direction depending on the user switch pressed, right? So this is the main program, and then these are the two interrupt service routines. So let's execute this program. First of all, let us build this program. Let me specify the X file here. So initially the motor will not rotate, because in a main loop it is just waiting for the interrupt. So let me call this interrupt clockwise, then motor will start rotating, right? Because interrupt 0 has occurred and the routine is started inside that, and we are transferring 0001, 0010, 0100, 1000, that sequence, as you can see it here continuously, right? So this sequence is being transferred. So as and when I will press this another switch, you will find that here the sequence will change. Now you know the sequence will change. The motor will change the direction and the sequence will also change. Now the sequence is reversed. It is from PC3, PC2, PC1, PC0 and so on, right? So this is how you can write a interrupt programming in which interrupt 0 will be useful to rotate the motor in a clockwise direction, and interrupt 1 is useful to rotate the motor in an anti-clockwise direction. So I hope this exercise is very much clear to you. Now whatever the program I shown you here was only this program was for a full step mode. So again you have to write the program for a half step mode yourself, right? Only what you have to do some modification. Instead of sending that 4 sequences, now you have to send the 8 sequences. So try to modify that program yourself, and if you find any difficulty you can ask me during our next live session. Then this is regarding the bipolar mode. Previous one was unipolar mode. But suppose if you want to drive the motor in a bipolar mode, then you require to use the H bridge configuration here. As you can see here that this is H bridge. So this transistor is formed like the H in H form, right? So whenever PD1 and PD1 is high, let's say this is a high, then transistor Q1 and Q4 will be on, and the current will flow through like this, winding through like this, okay, because the collector is connected to this, and whenever the PD2 is high and PD1 is low, what will happen? When this is high and this is low, this transistor Q2 and Q3 will be on. When these two transistors will be on, your current will be in this way, right? So the direction of current will change whenever you are changing from PD1 to PD2, right? Similarly PD4 and PD5. So this is for second winding. So in a bipolar mode, there are two independent windings you have to drive in a stepper motor, right? As if you remember, in a last lecture I have shown you the configuration of windings. So this is how you can configuration is available. So this is corresponding to the bipolar mode, right? This is a bipolar mode where two separate windings are available. No center tap is there. In a unipolar mode, there is a center tap is there, and the center tap you are trying together, and then you are connecting it to the VCC, and remaining four windings you are driving by the microcontroller port pins. In a bipolar mode, there is no center tap. Two independent winding you have to drive with help of a H bridge. So you require a total 2 H bridge to drive the windings. Right. So this is actually bipolar mode, and this is enable pin actually. Even if you do not want to drive the motor, then you can keep this PD0 equal to high. So whenever this is high and this is a PNP transistor, so it will be remain off, and this 12 volt will not be given to the H bridge. Whenever this is a 0, because it is a PNP transistor will conduct, and 12 volt will be given to the H bridge. Right? So this is kind of a enable pin, we can say, right? And the same bridge configuration is used to drive the DC motor. Because in a DC motor only one winding will be there, right? So in a stepper motor two windings will be there. So one H bridge like this can drive the DC motor, right? And because of this arrangement, actually your DC motor, you can rotate motor either in a clockwise direction or a anti-clockwise direction. If this combination is 1 0, your motor will rotate in a clockwise. If it is a 0 1, then your motor will rotate in a anti-clockwise direction. So this is how the DC motor will look like. So it has a L293 IC is there, which is having internally two H bridges is there, right? So inside this IC there is a H bridge like this, okay? Internal to the IC, if you open the, if you look at the construction of, internal construction of the IC, it is having a two H bridge like this. And here the motor is connected, and here there is enable pin is there, and there are different actually type of a motor. In some cases H bridge having a PNP transistor as enable, some is having a NPN transistor. If it is NPN, then at enable pin you have to send 1 logic high. If it is PNP, then at enable pin you have to send active low signal, right? And normally this cross transistor bases are connected together, right? So this bases is connected together in this way, and these two bases are connected together. Sorry for a poor drawing now, because I am not feeling well. Actually I am suffering from COVID now. I am COVID positive since this 7th day. So I am at isolation, but actually trying to conduct this session from home because we could not conduct this DC motor interfacing during our classes. Okay. So this is actually one H bridge, and similar other H bridge is there, and then we can drive the two motors here. Right? So for every motor we have a 3 pins. One is enable pin, like this is enable pin. One will be the for one pair of transistor, that is I1, and another will be another pair of transistor, so that will be called as a I2. Right? So if I1 equal to 1 and I2 equal to 0, your motor will rotate in a clockwise direction. If it is a 0, 1, then motor will rotate in a anti-clockwise direction. Similarly for other motor, right? Similarly for other motor. So total 6 microcontroller pins you will need if you require to drive the two DC motors, and if you require different velocities. If you want a fixed velocity, then enable pin directly you can connect to the plus VCC. Then you require only 4 pins, right? But in that case you will not be able to change the velocity of the motor because you will not be able to give the pulse width modulation at the enable pin. And because of that your motor velocity will remain constant. This is a sample program for this. DDRD equal to 0xFF, that means this port D we are using to control the motor. Port D equal to 00, that means initially all the motors off. Port D equal to 0x50, 50 means 0 1 0 1, that means PD5. Let me show the diagram here. Okay, this is PD0, PD1, PD2 and PD3 are driving actually motor. So 4 inputs are there. PD4 and PD5 are driving the enable pins, and these are the two motors connected with the chip, right? Okay, let me show you the simulation, then I think this will be very much clear to you. Let me open that DC motor program. And let's open the DC motor interfacing. So first of all, let me explain this circuit diagram to you. Okay. So in this case, we are using here PC0, PC1 to drive the motor. So we are driving one motor, so in 1 and in 2 are there, as I will try to draw that circuit diagram here in a whiteboard. So we have a H bridge like this. So this is H bridge, and somewhere here our DC motor is connected. Okay, so this H bridge is having a one winding is I1. Okay, I1. So I1 is connected to Q1 and Q3. So let me call this as a Q1, Q2, Q3 and Q4. Then Q1 and Q3 is controlled by the I1. We have one more terminal called I2, and this I2 is basically controlling transistor Q4 and Q2. Okay, essentially, so what will happen if I1 and I2 are the cases? Then if I1 is 1 and this I2 is 0, the current will flow like this, and your motor will rotate in a clockwise direction. And if it is reverse, I1 is 0 and this I2 is 1, then the transistor Q4 and Q3 will be on. So in that case, your motor will rotate anti-clockwise direction, because your current will flow from Q2 to Q4. Okay, so the direction of current will reverse, and that's why actually we need the H bridge, because H bridge allows us to change the direction of motor without changing physically the connection. Otherwise physically you have to change the connection, right? So but here, because of H bridge, we have a flexibility that we don't require to change the connections physically, right? So these are the two actually important pins, I1 and I2, and one more is enable. As I told you that enable is somewhere here. Okay, enable pins are usually of two type, active low or active high. If it is NPN transistor, then active high, otherwise it is a active low, right? So these are the three pins we are using, I1, I2, that is in1, in2, and enable pin, right? So for that, so 3 port pins we are using, PC0, PC1, and one more is here, PD4. PD4 we are using the to control the enable pin of the IC. And then at the output pin, that is bridge, output bridge, we are connecting the motor. So in this case we can say this is your output pins. So O1 and O2 is here somewhere, so where you are connecting the motor. So this is internal structure of ULN, L293D IC. Now let us look at the program. So the program is written in such a way that whenever interrupt 0 occurs, the motor will rotate in a clockwise, and when interrupt 1 occurs, the motor will rotate in an anti-clockwise direction. So we will be using interrupt pins PD4 to PD5 we are using to drive the motor, enable pins of the motor. Then PD2 and PD3 internal pull-ups we are activating because we want to generate the interrupts. And as you can see in the circuit diagram also, we have connected 2 push button switches at interrupt pins. हेलो, हाँ जी, एक જ મિનિટ ચાલુ રાખજો બેન, થોડું એક સેશન ચાલે છે ને, ઉભા રહો એક જ મિનિટ. થોડી વાર પછી ફોન કરજો. Okay, so these are the 2 pins which will generate the external interrupts. First of all, let me see whether the so let us specify the X file here. and then let us run this program. So if we give the interrupt 0, the motor will rotate in an anti-clockwise direction, and as you can see the sequence also here, this red means 1 and this blue means 0, so 1 0 sequence is given here. Enable pin is high, so motor is now in a clockwise direction. If I give interrupt 1, then the sequence will be reversed. You can see here now this was initially high, now becomes 0, and this has become 1. So the direction has changed. Right? So by giving the different interrupts, you can change the direction of the motor like this, and that is what is written in the program. So after enabling the interrupts, we are just waiting into the infinite loop, and then whenever interrupt 0 occurs, we enable the interrupts because we want to allow interrupt inside the interrupt. We require a nested interrupt, so because of that we are enabling the interrupt again inside whenever we are there in the external interrupt 0 loop. Then by this instruction, what we are doing here, that we are making PD4 equal to 1 to enable the H bridge. Okay, and by this we are saying that PC0 is equal to 1 and PC1 equal to 0 by this instruction, right? So by this instruction we say that PC0 is equal to 1, and by this instruction we say that PC1 is equal to 0. So motor will rotate in a clockwise direction. And whenever interrupt 1 occurs, again we would like to enable the motor because we want to rotate the motor. So PD4 is equal to 1, enable H bridge, then PC1 is equal to 1 now. So reverse, initially PC1 was 0, now we have make it 1, and PC0 will become 0. So the direction will change. So very simple program, right? If you know how to glow the LEDs, right, then you know that how to drive the motors, right? It's very simple, right? Okay, I'm not due to weakness, actually I am stopping here because next time if you have any doubts, you just watch this video, and if you have any doubt you can inform me in our WhatsApp group so that I can conduct the live session to explain the DC motor interfacing with AVR microcontroller. So I will stop here. Thank you.